A lot of people told me Serpent Isle has one of the best stories in the Ultima series, but it's also one of the more linear entries. I wasn't sure how I'd like it, but I'm a few hours in and so far I'm absolutely loving it. This is the way a sequel should be done, rewarding players who've played the previous games in the series, while also creating something totally fresh and new. This is just a quick video of my impressions of Serpent Isle up until Moonshade and what I like so far, highlighting some of my favorite moments. Like Blackgate, the game makes the goal very clear with its opening cutscene.
Backlin! In the unlikely event that the Avatar stops me from coming through the Black Gate, I command you to follow the unwitting female human Gweno to the Serpent Isle. There I shall outline my plan to destroy Britannia.
Basically, chase Batlin to Serpent's Isle and end the Guardian's influence once and for all. But what is Serpent Isle? In the opening, you find yourself beached on the isle, and it's great you have all the weapons you earned in Ultima VII. It's nice to start the game feeling like a badass for the first time in the series. But then as I walked along the beach, I started getting struck by lightning. I lost everything thanks to a freak magical storm and had my items replaced with random junk. I actually like this game trope a la Symphony of the Night and Metroid Prime. Shortly after, you're met by a monk named Thoxa who tells you about a prophecy. I always get nervous when I hear about prophecies in Ultima games. A hero and his companions will arrive in the last days to save them from an evil in the land. Another monk named Karnax arrives and confronts Thoxa. At the root of their contention is that Thoxa believes intervention is key to their salvation, whereas Karnax thinks they should stay out of the conflict. Thoxa surrounds you in a ring of fire and dukes it out with Karnax. It's action-packed and an exhilarating opening, setting the tone for the game. There's a lot more set pieces to come. Initially, I did feel that I liked Blackgate's opening a little better just because of the murder mystery angle of it, whereas this felt more like a traditional fantasy game. But it quickly becomes clear Serpent Isle plays on those tropes to do something far more interesting. You meet Shimino quickly afterwards and then enter the city of Monitor. The name of the city was familiar, and I realized it was from Ultima 3. I remembered from Quest of the Avatar on, many of the cities in Ultima 3 were gone, and there was no explanation for their disappearance. We finally find out why they went missing in Serpent's Isle. The guard at the gate tells you they've been having goblin problems and it's best to talk to Lord Marston, who rules the town. He's at the crematorium, where they're entombing one of their pikemen who was killed in an attack by the goblins. Lord Marston swears to war upon the goblins until the end of the world. You learn that Monitor values the virtue of courage above all, and before they'll accept you, you must become a knight by undergoing the trials. While Monitor is one town now, as a nod to the old division, they're divided into 3 factions: the bears, the wolves, and the leopards. You also learn the history of the town. Several cities that existed during Exodus's time decided to leave Caesarea for Serpent's Isle. The reason is they wanted to resist the tyranny of Lord British, who Marston refers to as Beast British. If you tell Marston you serve Lord British, he refuses to talk to you until you renounce him. Throughout the journey, the hate for Lord British is the only thing that seems to unite the people of the Isle. In Monitor, you find a book that sheds more light on their past. Once long ago, Lord British, who the author refers to as Man Daemon Lord British, tried to impose his 8 virtues upon them after he deluded the citizens of Britannia into following. 3 principal groups left. The first were the Mages of Moon, who felt the virtues were unrealistic. The second were the people of Fawn, who thought beauty was a necessary 9th virtue, but that British refused to include. And the third were the 2 Montaurs, who valued courage above all. Seeing history from another perspective, it made me question, had I been on the wrong side all along? It's interesting how this ties in thematically to the other games. in light of how easily the virtues were corrupted in Ultima V, and how your own system clashed and nearly destroyed the gargoyles in Part 6? I had to ask, what does a world without the virtues look like? Is their system better? In 7, we saw the Fellowship was a poor substitute for the virtues. Are courage, beauty, and magic better? You hear from a few people that the Knight's trial is something of a joke. But when you actually take it, there's a Cyclops, trap explosions, and even an invisible assassin. This is a lot deadlier than the people of Monitor made it out to be. For the trial itself, you take a claw, cut out some of your blood, mix it in with the goblin's urn, and then a totem animal, a wolf in your case, gets created. Once the test is complete, I was happy because I'd become a knight. But I was shocked when the person administering the whole thing, Schmed, tries to murder the avatar. What the hell was going on? On returning, the people of Monitor congratulate you and want to celebrate your knighthood. To that end, one of the things you need to do is get a tattoo of a wolf from the artist Lydia, symbolizing your knighthood to the people of Serpent Isle. I was impressed with her passion for tattoos and wanted to know more about her and the fate of her sister. But then as I walked through Monitor, I was struck by poison. I had to rush to the healer, Arna. She says the infliction can only be treated by Varro leaves that are found in the city of Fawn. She also reveals that the infliction probably came from the tattoo. When you confront Lydia about the poison, she lashes out about you being the pawn of Demon British. I hate that monster, she says, then attacks. At first, I tried to escape because I really didn't want to fight her, but she followed me. I defended myself, and it was blood-chilling that she hated the Avatar so much. This was also the third time since arriving that someone had tried to kill me. It wouldn't be the last. Monitor, for all its talk about courage, seemed full of treachery. There is someone betraying intelligence about Monitor to the goblins. You track it down to a monolith in a northern forest where a bunch of goblins lurk. You find the same kind of ale that the innkeeper, Simon, sells. When faced with evidence about his involvement with the goblins, Simon reveals that he is an actual goblin in disguise and attacks. When you defeat him, he gives you the key to find the goblin village and hunt down the Goblin King. Finally, it seems everyone who's betraying Monitor has been caught. It's time to celebrate your knighthood. But even at the dinner, there's little harmony as the knights start arguing amongst each other. Suddenly, Harna rushes in to tell you her daughter is missing. What's worse is that after watching the crystal ball, you learn it was your old enemy, Batlin, who abducted her. The trail for Batlin picks up as people throughout Monitor reveal that he came through with an insidious new aim. The Fellowship is trying to spread its influence throughout Serpent Isle. But there's one last mission to do before moving on. The goblins and humans have been at it for some time now. I wanted to go and stop their influence once and for all by hunting down the Goblin King. You have to go through a long passage before you find the Goblin Village. He reveals the goblins actually lived there before the humans arrived, and they were displaced by the people of Monitor, which is why they're fighting. Hordes of goblins arrive to fight. After you defeat the king, I backtrack my way to the goblins' treasure lair. There I found 2 letters from the head of Monitor, Lord Marston. Marston had betrayed the 2 other factions in the hopes that the goblins would kill them, and he could seize control of the town for himself, which is weird considering he's already the leader. All his sanctimonious behavior and insistence on stopping the goblins was a lie. He was willing to sacrifice and betray anyone to get even more power. But instead of doing it in a manner consistent with courage, by challenging the leaders to a fight in List Field, he tried to cheat his way to power. I think it's fair to say he was the complete opposite of what courage is. For all the talk about hating Lord British and his virtues, this is a case where it seemed like they could actually use more of it. Next, I made the trek to Fawn to try and heal myself, and was surprised at the change of scenery. Unlike Blackgate, where most of the towns look more or less the same, Fawn with its white marble walls looked very different as the City of Beauty. In general, in Serpent Isle, everything from the character portraits to the sprite work is a nice improvement over the first. In Fawn, beauty pervades, but just recently their fleet was destroyed by the magical storms. Believing themselves to be the subject of divine displeasure, the Fellowship was expelled. You find your old enemies in a camp right outside of Fawn, and they're still spouting their nonsense, ignorant of the fact that you destroyed their guardian in the last game. Leon, their leader, seems genuine in his adherence to the Fellowship. So does Elisand, a native of Fawn who asks you to support them in overthrowing the false traditions and evil schemes of Fawn. The Fellowship actually sends an assassin to try to kill you, but he fails. Shortly after that, you meet Lady Yolinda, who's in charge of Fawn, and she gives a toast to Queen Fawn, who founded the city. Your companion, Dupré, without thinking too much, toasts Lord British in return. Big mistake. He is accused of treason and blasphemy, and then he's arrested. I love the trial scene in the game. They present their evidence in front of the Oracle, a magical statue that's supposed to reveal the truth. While it's clear the odds are stacked against you based on how biased the testimony is from the witnesses, I really enjoyed this sequence. The way they use your own actions against you reminded me a whole lot of Chrono Trigger, though Serpent Isle came out a few years before Chrono. The witnesses actually get into what you talk with them about and how you behaved. Lady Yolinda exaggerates what Dupré said, even claiming he said that Lord British will drink her blood. One of the characters points out how I entered different rooms and looked through drawers and barrels without permission, pointing to my suspicious behavior. It was kind of creepy, and I'm not sure if the game tracked what I actually did or the writers just assumed I had, but I liked it. It's also interesting that the Fellowship attends and gets kicked out for trying to defend their creed. It's odd to think that the Avatar has more in common with the Fellowship than the people of Serpent Isle. The Fellowship has never spoken badly of Lord British, whereas the people of Serpent Isle hate him with a passion. The story can't even progress unless you, as mentioned, agree with Elisand to help the Fellowship teach the people of Fawn how to overcome their ancient traditions. Things don't look good for Dupré, but the Fellowship, through Elisand, gives you a key which leads to a room revealing that the Oracle the people of Fawn look to for the truth is a sham. One of the officials is working with the priestess to seize power by programming what the Oracle should say. He attacks when you find him, and you have to kill him. But then you can reprogram the Oracle by clicking the 3rd and 5th levers to either accuse the entire system of corruption or to free Dupré. The next day, you can call witnesses, and it's interesting to hear what everyone has to say, but it's up to you if you want to listen to them. The judgment is already set since you've programmed it in. Dupré is free. The Oracle is a sham. Beauty doesn't really matter as a virtue to the people of Fawn aside from lip service, and it's ironic that you destabilize the city's government and help the Fellowship in the process, even though it was to help Dupré. I just finished the inn and freed Hawkins so we can head over to Moonshade. My guide, the sister of the tattoo artist, led me to a place full of strange monsters and magical traps. Once we raided the place of gold, she set me up for an ambush. The people of Serpent Isle really hate the Avatar. I've also liberated a tower from the goblins and found a whole lot of swamp boots. Then I found a building that seems to have been run over by killer animals who've attacked their owner and attacked me when I enter. No further explanation is given. I know I'm just a few hours in, but I'm already thinking about all that's happened to me. It seems no moral system is capable of good without being subject to corruption. Just as the virtues went bad the moment Lord British went away in Ultima V, the two cities I'd visited had made a travesty of both courage and beauty. At the same time, no one wanted to be part of the virtues Lord British had espoused. So what did his attempt to impose it on them make him? A tyrant? Was there truth in their accusations? Considering all that the Britannians had suffered in the last 3 games, was it really the best choice to have followed the 8 virtues? Honestly, from where I'm standing, both sides suck. As I've said in earlier reviews, these ethical and moral dilemmas are what I appreciate so much about the Ultima games. It's not just a simple binary of you're good and everyone else is evil. It's also why I can't wait to get to Moonshade to find out what's up with the mages and what Batlin is really up to. I'll be back again as I make further progress into Serpent Isle, but thanks again to everyone who recommended the game. I'm having so much fun. See you all next time, Avatar.